If I searched the world, I would search it the way oceans search for the moon endlessly, obediently, pulled by something I could never name, but always obeyed. I would walk through cities humming with borrowed lives, streets slick with other people's laughter, cafes where love sat casually at tables like it had never been afraid of leaving. I would pass faces that were beautiful in the common way, faces shaped like answers to questions I wasn't asking. They would smile, and I would smile back, and something in me would remain untouched. A locked room behind my ribs, where your name had always been written even before I knew how to read it. I tried once to convince myself that longing was just habit, that emptiness was something you outgrew the way you outgrow old shoes. But absence has a weight. It presses fingerprints into the soul. It teaches you the exact dimensions of what is missing, by how perfectly nothing else fits. I learned your outline before I ever learned your voice. I saw it in the way my heart refused compromise, how it would not settle, how it flinched when I offered it half miracles and borrowed warmth. I saw it in the way silence followed me, like a loyal animal waiting for the one sound it had been trained to recognize. There were nights I lay awake, listening to the world breathe through thin walls, thinking, if you exist, you must be looking at the same sky. And that thought, small, ridiculous, unprovable, was enough to keep me alive in ways food and sleep never. Where I searched in books first, I thought maybe you were written somewhere, hidden in the margin of a forgotten poem, tucked between lines where the author paused, because even they could not fully hold you. I underlined sentences that trembled like truth, sentences that sounded like footsteps approaching, but every page closed the same way, with my hands still empty. I searched in strangers. I tried to love them carefully, like one tries not to break something fragile that was never meant to last. I memorized the curve of shoulders, the way voices softened when they said my name, the rituals of almosts and maybes. And every time my soul would whisper, not this, not yet, not enough. I felt cruel for knowing that. I felt ungrateful for wanting more than warmth, for wanting recognition. But love, real love, is not polite. It does not accept substitutes. It knows the difference between being held and being understood. Sometimes I wondered if I had invented you just to survive myself, a private myth, a star I pretended was fixed so I wouldn't drift apart. But then there were moments rare, electric, when the world bent strangely as if reality itself hesitated. A song I'd never heard before would feel like a memory, a sentence from a stranger would land too precisely. Time would stutter, and I would think, you're close, you're breathing somewhere nearby, and I realized then I was not searching blindly. I was remembering because souls like ours do not meet by accident. They are shaped for collision. They are forged with matching fractures, with echoes designed to answer each other. And no matter how far they roam, they carry the same quiet gravity. If I searched the world, every country, every crowded room, every lonely road unspooling into dusk, I would not be looking for perfection. I would be looking for recognition. For the moment, my spirit stood up straight and said, there you are, and somewhere in the soft chaos of existence, you were already turning toward me, feeling the tug, wondering why nothing else had ever felt like home. There were no signs written in fire, no sudden clarities or trumpets of destiny, just a subtle rearranging like furniture, shifting in a dark room to make space for someone important. Time began behaving strangely. Days rushed past like they were late for something, while moments lingered, stretched thin, as if waiting for permission to continue. I started to notice how often I paused mid-step, mid-thought, with the unshakable sense that I was about to be interrupted by something that would change everything. I imagine you felt it too. That restlessness, that sense of standing on a platform with no train in sight, yet knowing with ridiculous certainty that one was coming and that it would know your name. You were probably living your life, laughing when expected, surviving when necessary, pretending you hadn't also grown tired of almosts and maybes, pretending you hadn't learned the hard way how to be alone without being lonely, and lonely without admitting it. Souls like ours learn early how to carry themselves carefully. We become fluent in endurance. We learn how to fold longing into neat shapes so it doesn't spill everywhere. But even restraint has its limits. Even patience begins to fray. There were moments when I felt you as a sudden warmth behind the sternum, as if someone had leaned close without touching. Moments when my breath changed rhythm, when my thoughts softened for no reason, when